Life is incredibly heavy. I mean, especially when you're not living sort of the life you desire. Not necessarily the life of your dreams, but something you desire. There's a transition phase for many of us. It becomes quite pivotal where you sort of decide, am I happy and fulfilled in the life I'm living? Do I want more for myself? You know, and sometimes it's releasing the old things, it's taking those leaps of faith. So there's a transition phase where you have to sometimes lose absolutely everything to rebuild. And that's a scary place to be. And that's where I'm at. So, sort of job, everything, it's all been removed. So, like, everything is like there's a high pressure on me at the moment. It's like you might not seem it because I cope well in situations, but yeah, I put myself in a leap of faith situation where I just don't want to be back in the old places, places that just disappoint me, places that just frustrate me, places that just don't serve me anymore, just to have those breadcrumbs. But the thing with people in general, people are only ever interested in things when they need something themselves. So I watch a lot of the time people trying to like relocate. Maybe you want to go to another country. Now most people just don't care. They'll say, "Don't let foreigners in." Blah blah blah. I have more of a worldview on it and think we're all humans. I'm British, but I consider myself human first. Most people, I think they're overly patriotic, so they it's all about us, and it's all about against them, and it's like why? Why should the place we're born define who we are and where we can go? I don't like that at all. So as soon as you want to go somewhere, all of a sudden you find there's rules, and you're bound in the same way you was judging those others that wanted it. But a lot of people are just self entitled, especially I think the West. It's like, one rule for you, another for someone else. But a good thing is it puts it in the spotlight, doesn't it? Because as soon as you want to do something, wait a minute. So let's say you wanted to break through to America, for instance, and you're from another country. Let's just say Britain. I don't know all the rules, but I'm not stupid enough. I understand there are rules. So to go to another country, you would need a travel visa. So one's a holiday visa. You'd have a spousal visa, I'm guessing, if you was in a relationship married. But you've got to have a working visa. You've got to have all these criteria to meet to get these things. And of course, if you don't disclose what you're visiting for and you break the visa, you'll be deported. And the trouble with being deported is there's a long-term consequence. You could be banned. Maybe it's a temporary ban, maybe it's a permanent ban. I haven't looked into it. I don't know how it all works. All I know is how serious it is. So you're not free. You're not free. You could go on holiday and then an opportunity comes up. Now you need a new visa. So it's a weird world we live in. But again, you see people trying to come into maybe your country and then you're judging them for it, taking away opportunities, doing this. Why should we all be bound? It's the same in locations anyway, like where you work. Most people don't work where they live. Sometimes I look at that and I think this is crazy. Maybe there should be a reshuffle because you get people leaving one town to go to another town to work, but someone from that town will be coming to your town to work and it'd be a similar job. But it's where the opportunities were at the time. But everyone's like zigzagging across each other, which is why we all get traffic jams and it's chaos. But really, if there was a way just to reset and say, right, we need people who live here to work here, that'd be ideal, wouldn't it? And then you wouldn't have the chaos. But that's not how the world works. So sometimes we're going to have opportunity somewhere else. How do we make that happen? And so there's a lot of bureaucracy that goes into it and money. Yeah, people like money. There's always a fee for something, especially in some countries. But yeah, like I say, I wake up. Most days I wake up and I'm quite frustrated, to be honest. I'm a positive person in terms of like my self development, my growth. I have no doubt of where I'm heading in my future. I have a lot of signs in my life for that. So I'm spiritual. Most people on my journey will know this. If you don't, I am. I get a lot of signs of it. But even if I didn't get the signs, I innately know anyway. I know what I'm building towards. I'm becoming a better version of myself every day. So although the signs I receive are these great opportunities and a complete changing lifestyle, complete different from what I'm going through now, until that day comes, you're still living this existence. I'm not someone that jumps a million miles ahead. I still keep myself grounded in the present. And the trouble is my present is very frustrating. It's heavy as hell. So every day you wake up, you're like, damn, I got another day of this. Because it is frustrating. I know my strengths and my qualities, but the doors haven't opened yet, if you like. And it's in all aspects of life, separated from my daughter. I don't have the relationship. I don't have the career. I don't have the money. What I have is myself. And that's fortunate because I do love all of who I am and I love working on myself. And then I have projects that keep me busy, which will only help to elevate me. So the point is really we can wake up frustrated and do nothing about it. And that's when you can go really low. You can get really down because life, like I said, life's heavy. If you've got no direction, where do you go? You know, it's all wayward. It's a mess. Lose yourself in things you probably shouldn't have lost yourself in. Me, I'm more uplifting of self, you know. So if I'm not happy with a circumstance, let's do something about it. If I want to achieve something, I'll achieve it. Eventually, you have to take the financial side out of it because you can live your life based on it. But is that fulfilling you? Because if you've been living that, let's say you're like 30, 40 years old, you've lived your life like working your ass off pretty much. Okay, you've got money, you've gone on holidays, you've had all these different things, but if you've got to look at yourself and think if you're not satisfied though, so if you're coming from a place of I'm waking up, I'm not happy, I'm really fed up, well then money is not going to be the thing that serves you, is it? Because if you have money and it's not making you happy, that's not what your fulfillment is. What would you like to do with your life and what means something to you? So for me, like when I was a child, I always imagined maybe one day writing a book. I didn't know what the book would be. It's just one day I'd like to achieve that. And that's always been at the back of my mind. I also wanted a typewriter, which is a personal thing to me, may not be a big deal to someone else. For me, it was something one day, I knew nothing of typewriters. It was like, these are things in the back of your mind, you know, but these are like little goals. If it's worth more than money. Do you know what I mean? It's like worth more than money. That's a personal thing. It's really big for me. So I've written my books now. I take myself away from jobs. I've left jobs to write books. In the middle of it, you know, when I'm writing into the writing process, I start to resent the job because I just want to write my book more than anything. I want to dedicate my time to what I love. So that's what I've done every time. I will never let anything get in the way of something. You know, in terms of a project, I always want projects to be the focus, things that mean something. And that's what, like I say, that's what I've done. My last job, I stayed all the way to the end. I actually wrote the book while I was there because it was more of a challenge to myself. Say, look, can you do it that way round too? And I did. Ultimately, I ended up leaving the job after because it was quite a toxic place. It wasn't doing me any good. It was only giving me money, which was great, but losing an awful lot of myself and getting more and more stagnated, down, fed up, suppressed. It was like, oh my God, I can't live this life anymore. This is like a prisoner for money. He's a hostage. And you're looking, going, there's a pay rise every year. So really, financially, you probably won't go without for the rest of your life because there'll always be an increase. So you're thinking, that's stability. That's what a lot of people crave. That's what should have made me happy. But because it's making me miserable, I'm like, if I stay now and I keep staying every year, there's always a reason to keep yourself stuck, you know, in prisoner. And I was like, this is not going to work for me because I feel miserable now. Imagine what I'll be like in 10 years of this. Yeah, you had a bit of financial stability, but what a waste of life. Like, I didn't achieve anything other than the financial stability. And I'm really annoyed. And if I feel this way now, I'm going to feel this way in the future and it's going to be 10 times worse. So I'd rather be free and liberated. I'd rather struggle for finances. And that's what I do. Money isn't the be all and end all. Effectively, the money, I was just buying myself, treating myself constantly. There was takeaways. There was like, I wouldn't say stupid purchases, but they were like unnecessary purchases. I just kept building my gaming setup and I just kept investing in things I didn't need because I had this desire to spend. You know, you got money, like I need to spend it on something. And that's what it's like. Now I don't have that. I don't really have that desire. Sometimes I'll look at a video game and I think, oh, I want that. And I think, yeah, well, you can't really afford it at the minute. You're not really wise anyway. You've got projects to do. You want to keep your mind focused on what you should be doing. So there's like the beauty in it, really. It's like sometimes less is more. You know, I have less money, but I have more time. And I also have more freedom in myself to be able to just like follow my passions and what I want to accomplish. So there's peaks, you know, highs and lows, but there's things we want. Like I said, I'm missing a lot in my life at the moment. I have no doubt of the future, but every morning is heavy. It's like, oh my God, go get through this again. But I think that's the same for everyone. But we have to look at our life and think, what is it we want from it? Because it's not always the obvious, you know. It's not to say you leave your job and do everything I've done. No one has to copy me, you know. I'm a bit extreme because I just want to fast track my life. I don't want to get to the end of life and realize I could have had 10 years more progress because if I just took an action earlier. So I kind of want to just achieve it as much as I can in this lifetime. And that means I'm going to have to make sacrifices. I'm going to have to take leaps of faith. I'm going to have to just go with the wind and just like follow this path, even if it's difficult in moments, because I don't want to wait 10 years for something. I don't want to wait 5 years for something. I want it everything now. So I'm working on it all the time.